the 8th of May, not May 8th. I made a video earlier and I said it was May 8th. It's the 8th of May, which is Motorhead Day. And I kind of wondered why they picked this day for Motorhead Day. And I somehow came across something today. I saw somebody, I did a video earlier and I said May 8th. And then I saw someone mention earlier somewhere, they said, somebody else asked, why did they choose May 8th? And somebody said the 8th of May, the 8th of May, which clicked. It's supposed to be, I guess, the Ace of Spades. Kind of close, I guess. This is maybe like, I guess they got the idea from the May the 4th for Star Wars. But anyway, so it's the 8th of May, which is Motorhead Day. I'm going to get right to it. Motorhead is one of my favorite bands ever. I would say I don't have official rankings. At least I have what I would call my top 4 bands. And the only reason there's 4 is because those are the ones that I can clearly put on top. There are many other ones right below that, but the top 4, I'd say Motorhead is number 4 in my life. That I've listened to the longest, that have had the biggest impact on me, the ones that I really feel a close connection to. There are 3 higher. Motorhead is number 4. I have a big, I don't know if you can see this, but a big Motorhead tattoo here. One of very few bands that I have a tattoo of. And it's International Motorhead Day, or Motorhead Day. I don't know if it's international or not. I guess I should have done this earlier to have it debut on Motorhead Day, but now I'm doing it at night of Motorhead Day. So it's a little bit late. I don't need any reason to talk about Motorhead or to listen to Motorhead or to have Motorhead on the brain. But usually about once a year. I mean, I listen to Motorhead fairly often, pretty regularly I would say, but occasionally I get just a motor burst. And it happens with other bands too, where I think like that's just the only band I want to listen to is Motorhead. So I'm going to talk about Motorhead. I'm going to talk about all their albums. I got them all here. I'm missing 4. They have 23 studio albums and some live ones and box sets and compilations like that. I've got almost all of them here. I'll explain as I go along. So all I'm going to do is just go through all their albums chronologically and talk about them. It's rare that I do this. Leave comments if you have any questions. What do you think of these, of what I'm going to say? What are your favorite Motorhead albums, favorite songs? So I'm going to start with, and already I have to say something. This is On Parole. This is their first album, or kind of not. They recorded this album in like 1976 or something. It was supposed to be released around 1977, but someone sat on it. The record company, I guess, wasn't happy for whatever reason. And it didn't come out until after, I think, their 3rd album or something like that. But I'll consider this their first because it was the first one they recorded, and then they were Motorhead. About this album, On Parole, you know, often bands that their first album is the best, and then it's maybe all downhill from there. I'd say with Motorhead, it's the opposite. It's not the best album. They didn't really have that real Motorhead sound at this point. In the early days, Lemmy didn't have his real Lemmy voice, which was maybe good for some people. Even his bass didn't have that Lemmy, that chainsaw sound. But it starts off with the first song on the first Motorhead album is Motorhead, the song Motorhead. So this is Motorhead by Motorhead, which is one of my top 5 maybe Motorhead songs. I don't want to get into the numbers, but man, I love that song Motorhead. Although this version, again, it's not that good. I like the version that was on, I think it was on the next album. There were a few versions, but anyway, I love the song Motorhead. On Parole is good. Vibrator is a very good song, very fun song. Iron Horse, Born to Lose, good also. I think pretty good songs. City Kids is pretty good. The second half is maybe not as good, but good album. If they had done this with the sound of their, you know, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th albums, I think I would have liked this much better. So On Parole, I'm not going to give them a number. This is not a 6 out of 10 or anything like that. It's just On Parole. All right, now the next one, which could have been considered their first. It was the first one officially released. This is the self-titled Motorhead. Now this one also starts with Motorhead. This was a different version of it. This had mostly the same songs as On Parole. I think only a couple of differences. Much better sound, but they still didn't get there yet. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I like the version of Motorhead here better, although I think there was another one that I like better. Also Vibrator. Yeah, again, pretty good album, but they hadn't hit their... they hadn't really become Motorhead yet, but I like this album better than on Parole. This is where where Motorhead really became Motorhead for me. This is Overkill. This came out in 1979. Just looking at the track list of this album, Overkill, which became arguably their signature song, at least live. Ace of Spades obviously is a bigger song, but live Overkill was the signature song. Stay Clean. You know, these are the kind of songs they played regularly. No Class. But man, I Won't Pay Your Price. I'll Be Your Sister. I'll Be Your Sister especially has such a groove, that bass intro. And it's got a very kind of, hey, style to it. I'll Be Your Sister. I love this album. This is an awesome album. One of my top Motorhead albums for sure. Damage Case, Tear It Down. Although Metropolis was a big live staple too. It was never really a favorite of mine, Metropolis. But this is where Motorhead first, for sure, really had their sound. Overkill. Next one, this is number 2 in what people maybe would have called the Holy Trinity, starting with Overkill. This is Bomber, 1979. 79. Dead Men Tell No Tales opens this one. I love that song. Lawman is another kind of groove, a little bit like I'll Be Your Sister, like I mentioned earlier. Poison is a great song. I always imagined when I got into Anthrax that Anthrax could have done a great cover of Poison with Scott Ian, you know, with his backing vocals, and yelled Poison. I think that would have been great for Anthrax to do Poison. Stone Dead Forever. That's one of my, again, I don't want to make lists or numbers, but Stone Dead Forever is one of my very top Motorhead songs. I think it might even be the first Motorhead song I ever heard. I might have heard, it's the first one that I remember like being a huge fan of, but I didn't have the album at the time. I recorded it from the radio, like one of those Friday night metal shows. And then it closes with Bomber. Bomber is, again, one of my favorite. Man, I love that song, Bomber. I like the studio. I think most people like the live version, but I love the studio version of this song, Bomber. Excellent album. There's a little bit of noise outside here. And some good B-sides on here too. Over the Top is a good song. Too Late, the live version is good. But top-notch stuff here. And the next one, the third in the Trinity, the Motorhead Trinity, a lot of people would, for sure, this is the number 1 Motorhead album. When people are not big Motorhead fans, everybody knows this album. Even if you're not a Motorhead fan, you know this album. This is Ace of Spades from 1980. Believe it or not, this took me, God, many years to get into. I don't know if it was that I had the stupid attitude of that it was overrated because everybody loved it so much, and I felt like I shouldn't. I don't know what it was, but I only got into this in somewhat more recent years, maybe 10 years ago. Not that I didn't like it before, I think didn't see what other people saw in it. Maybe because I was so tired of the song Ace of Spades. That song was played all the time. And but again, just going through the track list, every song is great. This has another one of my, I'll say it again and again, The Hammer. Oh man, that's the most vicious Motorhead song ever. That's just unbelievable. The Chase is Better Than the Catch. That's another big favorite. Bite the Bullet. I think Bite the Bullet is 1:42 or 1:39 or something, but just incredible. Bite the Bullet. I'm leaving you. And I feel like I have to say The Hammer again just because I love it so much. Believe me, The Hammer, you know the rest. We Are the Road Crew, no matter how many times I listen to that song, it's one of those songs I can't get the lyrics to. The rhythm, another bloody foreign coast, another, I can never get it. And I like that song, but I just can't get the lyrics. Every song is great. Live to Win, Fast and Loose, and maybe the best sounding Motorhead album. And also, like I said, in more recent years, I've finally come to see what everybody else knew about. I love Ace of Spades. Iron Fist. This was 82, I think. I think this is a Motorhead album that most fans don't really love, and I'm in that same boat. Iron Fist, the openers, they always had great openers. Iron Fist was a great Motorhead song. Anything that opens with that Lemmy bass is great. Iron Fist, what else catches my attention here? America is good. Don't Let 'Em Grind You Down. Not my favorite album. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It was the same lineup. It basically sounded more, maybe it didn't sound as good as Ace of Spades, but it still sounded like Motorhead. Maybe, I think just the songs weren't as good. So Iron Fist, major love for the title track. The rest of the album, it's okay. Now here's a special one. This is 1983, Another Perfect Day. This is a special one for me because this is the first Motorhead album I ever bought. I bought this at the Scarborough Town Centre, a mall in Toronto, in 1983 at like Music World or A&A Records or something like that. And I think at that point, I think I knew Ace of Spades for sure. I didn't know Motorhead. I didn't know many Motorhead songs. I knew them more by reputation. I knew Ace of Spades, Stone Dead Forever, maybe Overkill, maybe some other songs I taped off those metal shows that I mentioned. And I remember being a little bit disappointed when I bought Another Perfect Day. It was, it just, for one, it had that plastic cellophane sleeve inside. It didn't have lyrics or anything. So maybe I was disappointed because my first Motorhead album didn't have the lyrics and I wanted to sit down and listen to Motorhead and have the lyrics. But it didn't take me nearly as long to appreciate this as it did Ace of Spades. I got into this, it was years later that I really came to love Another Perfect Day. But the first three albums, Back at the Funny Farm, Shine, and Dancing on Your Grave, is that the right order? Yeah, those are maybe the best three consecutive Motorhead songs you'll find. And this had, what else? I Got Mine, Die You Bastard, and the B-side. What was the B-side that I loved from this? It was, and Rocket was another good song from this album. What's the name of the B-side? Help me. I can't remember. Is it on here? No, I don't know what it is. I'm going to think of it later, and you'll never know because I'm not going to bother going back. But excellent album. This was, I think, kind of a maligned album because this had Brian Robertson from Thin Lizzy, and I couldn't have cared less about Thin Lizzy. But reading back on the history, people didn't like Brian Robertson, and in Motorhead, they say he didn't fit the style visually. He was kind of he had a very different image than Lemmy and Filthy Animal. But I don't know. I love this album, Another Perfect Day. I'll try to think of the song. Now a little break here. This was 1984, No Remorse. I guess you maybe can't really see the cover there, but when I bought this on vinyl, it was a double album, and if you're a Motorhead fan, you know this came in a really cool leather sleeve. And man, I wanted that thing. I used to go to the record store. It's one of the records I remember, like Kiss in the 70s, where I would just go in the record store and look at the album, even though I had the regular version, but that leather, the sleeve with made of leather was just incredible. So this is a compilation album, but it had 4 new songs. The last song on each record, on each side of the record, had 1 new song. It was Killed by Death, which became a big, by Motorhead standards, big song. Killed by Death, Snaggletooth. I could look at this. The lighting is terrible. Snaggletooth. God, I can't believe I can't remember the songs. Locomotive was another one. But good songs. They were those songs were a precursor of what was to come next. And this was my introduction to a lot of other Motorhead songs because I didn't get the Bomber, Ace of Spades, and Overkill until after I got these. So some of the versions on here were my introduction to Motorhead, but a good compilation. Now another big one. This is 1986. This was Riding with the Driver. No, it wasn't. This is Orgasmatron. It was supposed to be called Riding with the Driver, which would have made more sense with this this album cover. But this is Orgasmatron. This is probably what I consider my favorite Motorhead album. I love Orgasmatron, maybe because it was the first time I saw them on tour. I saw them in 1986 for the first time at the concert hall in Toronto, and you know that. I had the album already and I loved it. Maybe that was why I saw them for the first time. They were playing, I think it was on November 16th or something like that, November 18th. And Slayer was playing like 2 weeks later at the same venue. And I chose to go see Motorhead because I had already seen Slayer. I saw Slayer a year and a half earlier. In March 1985, I saw Slayer. And I could only, I guess I was 15, or I guess I just turned 16 in November. I could only afford to go to one, and I chose Motorhead. I missed Slayer. I'd already seen them, and I saw both of them many times after. This, to me, is a perfect album. Deaf Forever. Nothing on My Sleeve is, again, what I would say is one of my exclusive top Motorhead songs. Dr. Rock, The Claw, Riding with the Driver, which was supposed to be the album. The title track, Orgasmatron, became again a pretty big song. Built for Speed, or it was called On the Road became Built for Speed. And this was with this is the first time that they had two guitarists. Wurzel, they added Wurzel for the 4 new songs on No Remorse. But number one for me, Motorhead, Orgasmatron, love it. Not too much I can say about this one. This is The Birthday Party. This was, I think, an unofficial album. It's a live album with a bunch of, I think it was recorded at their 10th, yeah, it was, that's why it's called The Birthday Party, their 10th anniversary. They denounced this album. I think most people don't care about it, including me. And kind of funny, what I will mention is, amazingly, this is the only live Motorhead album I ever got. I never got No Sleep Till Hammersmith. I know it's considered a landmark live album, everybody loves it, but I never got it. I don't know why. And I also never got No Sleep at All, which came out in 1988 or something like that. So this one that nobody really liked was the only live Motorhead album I got. Next is another one. This is rock and roll. This was 1987, and Phil Taylor came back. Oh, they had a new drummer on Orgasmatron too, Pete Gill from Saxon. He was only just there for the one album, and he played on the 4 No Remorse songs too. But this was rock and roll. This had Phil Taylor back. I think this album is mixed amongst Motorhead fans. Maybe people can set me straight or tell me if I'm right or not. But I love this album. I love especially the title track. Rock and Roll is great. Eat the Rich was a, they had a video for that, and it got a lot of play on the metal video shows. I love Stone Deaf in the USA. What else is on here? Dogs is a good song. All For You, I love that. That's maybe kind of, I was going to say is maybe as close as you'll get to a love song from Motorhead, although far from a ballad. But I know a lot of people don't like this record. I think they maybe thought it was too commercial. Maybe even Motorhead said that they were looking for success in the States. And I saw them on this tour too, opening for Alice Cooper. I wasn't a big Alice Cooper fan. I went only because Mohead was opening. But very good album, this one too. Next, this was 1990 or 91, although the album was called 1916. I love this album. This is I consider this as maybe even as good as a couple of those old classics that I mentioned earlier. 1916, I think especially I'm So Bad, Baby, I Don't Care could be my number 1 Motorhead song ever. I don't know, I love it. I could say that about a few, but I'm So Bad, Baby, I Don't Care. Maybe also Lemmy's best lyrics. I make love to mountain lions, sleep on red hot branding irons. When I walk, the roadway shakes, bed's a mess of rattlesnakes. Black-hearted to the bone, older than the Rolling Stones. Great lyrics and very Lemmy lyrics. But man, this is a great album. Going to Brazil is another one. The Ramones, I was never a Ramones fan, but I love the song Ramones by Motorhead more than any Ramones song. And very different song. The title track, 1916, was very different from Motorhead at the time. If you've heard it, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go listen to the title track, 1916, very sorrowful Motorhead song. Yeah, Going to Brazil. Oh, Angel City, that's another one with great, really, really great lyrics. Angel City is, those two songs, Angel City and I'm So Bad, Baby, I Don't Care. He name checks Bon Jovi. Lemmy name checks Bon Jovi in Angel City. He says he wants to drink Bon Jovi's booze for free. So that's pretty cool. But this 1916, and also I'll add, and maybe people aren't going to like this, for the 18 people that watch this, this is what I considered, for me, the last classic Motorhead album. There were good ones after that, and there were great, great songs. But this, for me, this was the last album that they did that had that really classic Motorhead sound and style. They kind of became metal, more metal after that, which I normally would like, but I like more like the rock and roll Motorhead rather than the metal Motorhead. So for me, the one of my favorites, and also, I'll say it again, the last classic Motorhead album. Love it. And what a big difference going from that to this, March or Die. This album sucks. Really, it's just not good. I bought it at the time just because I was, you know, anything that bands that I liked at the time, I would buy their albums. And didn't care about it then. I don't know what it was. Maybe I have no idea why. And I listened to it some years ago, maybe 5 years ago. I went out for a walk and listened to the whole thing. And my opinion didn't change at all. There was just nothing that stood out on this album to me. The second song is a cover of Cat Scratch Fever. Maybe kind of a weird song to cover and to put it at the second slot. But it just, I don't know what it was. Maybe, you know, things were changing. The drummer situation was changing. I don't recognize any of these songs. I recognize Hellraiser. No, this album was just not very good. And I think fans generally don't like it either. Although I'm sure there's going to be at least one guy that says, "You're an idiot. I love that album. Why are you saying nobody likes it?" I don't like it. I think it's not. I don't like it. I think it's not regarded in fan circles as being a very good Motorhead album. So I don't have much to say about that one. Now, kind of going back, they went back. Bastards. Bastards was an awesome album. I really like this album. This was 1993. And even though this was maybe when they were getting a little bit more metal than Motorhead was before, I think that was maybe because of Mickey D. He was more of a metal drummer, I think. But I like this album a lot, especially, well, there were a lot of good songs. Devils is good, which was supposed to be the name of the album. I thought Devils would have been a better name than Bastards. I'm Your Man is a really, really, again, like I mentioned earlier with I'll Be Your Sister and Lawman, really good groove song. I'm Your Man is good. Liar is very heavy. Good. You know, I said I don't really love heavy Motorhead, but Liar is an exception. Born to Raise Hell was, again, more like the traditional style. Pretty good song. Burner, very fast. On Your Feet, On Your Knees, also very fast. For me, this was the last Motorhead album that I loved. 1916 was the last one that I thought was a classic. This was the last one that I truly loved, which is kind of bad because they did a lot of albums after that. Not that I didn't like them, but just they never got up here for me. Now these next albums are going to kind of follow a pattern. In that I kind of lost interest. I'm not sure why. But this was Sacrifice. This came out in 94, 95 or something like that. They were back to three of them. They dropped Wurzel, or he quit. I'm not sure what happened. Over Your Shoulder is a good song. I like Over Your Shoulder. And what else? I'm just looking at the track list on this. And I'm not sure why. I feel sometimes it seems that every couple of years, I think I got to go back and I feel almost like these next albums are going to talk about, I kind of miss them. I almost feel like I could consider them new Motorhead albums because I'm not that familiar with them. Yeah, Sacrifice. Sacrifice is a good song. Over Your Shoulder is good. Other than that, I really don't recognize the names of any of the songs. I should give this another chance. Sacrifice. I think, what do fans think of this album? I think it was considered a good one. Now, this is when they were kind of going up and down. Maybe this was why, although I was loyal to them, as you'll see. This was another, I don't know anything about this album, Overnight Sensation. I don't know if it was just because it was their handsome faces on the cover and it wasn't a classic Motorhead cover with the War Pig or Snaggletooth. But this one, it just never, I'm looking at the track list and nothing stands out. I don't think any of these songs really, you know, had any impact in the Motorhead world. Not much to say about this Overnight Sensation. Now here again, going with the up and down, something a little bit different. This is Protect the Innocent. This is a 4-disc box set. All right, this goes from their first album, from On Parole, up to 92. Although I think it came out in 97, but I think the latest stuff on here was 92. Good collection. I mean, if you have 4 CDs worth of Motorhead, you know, no matter what it is, there's bound to be some really, really good stuff on there. Obviously, the first, looking at this, the first 2 discs for me, and I think for most, well, now disc 3 goes in, is still Another Perfect Day. Disc 4, I don't care about too much. I loved Under the Knife. There were two different, not different versions of Under the Knife, but 2 different songs, and completely different, but they were both called Under the Knife. This has, you know, some live songs and a few B-sides. Good track list on here. I like this a lot. I wasn't really into compilation albums, but like I said, I was loyal to Motorhead at the time, so I got this, Protect the Innocent. Good collection. Now going back with the up, down, up, down. Next one was Snakebite Love. This was 98, I think. I saw them on this tour. I saw them in 98 or 99. That was the first time I had seen them in several years. And I loved it. I saw them in Kitchener, Ontario, which is very strange because Kitchener is not a very big city and didn't get a lot of concerts. But I really liked them that night in Kitchener. That was a really good show. And I still have the T-shirt from that show. It was, I can't remember what happened. I can say this now after all these years. I kind of ripped somebody off. I didn't rip somebody off on purpose. When I bought the shirt, I don't know how much it was, $25 or something like that. And maybe 35 or something, and I gave the merch person 50 or something like that, or maybe it was 25 and I gave her 30, or it was 35 and I gave her 40. In any case, she or he, I think it was a woman, gave me back change for a 50, and I took it. I feel bad now, but whatever. But I love that. That was a re-entry for me. I hadn't seen Motorhead for a few years then, because as I said, I still love their older stuff, but their last few albums at that time weren't that good. But I did see that tour, and I loved it. They played Shine. I think that was the first time they played Shine in many, many years since the time. But Snakebite Love is a great song, the title track, In the Zoo, in the Zoo. That's a really good song. But again, other than that, this is another one I would have to... I think I have faith that I would like this album if I listen again. This one and Sacrifice. Maybe Snakebite... maybe... Overnight Sensation and Bastards, I don't think, but I think I could give this one another chance. So, not too much to say about Snakebite Love, except I did see the tour, and I want to say again, in the zoo, because that's fun to say. That's from the title track, Snakebite Love. Now again, going back up, this is We Are Motorhead, which arguably contains my favorite Motorhead song. I know I said earlier that it was I'm So Bad, Baby, I Don't Care. But I could maybe change that to We Are Motorhead. They had good closing songs too. Bomber was the last song, and Orgasmatron, and We Are Motorhead is the last song. Oh man, what kind of band writes a song about themselves? And they mention, you know, the whole song is about Motorhead. And the album is called We Are Motorhead. The song is called We Are Motorhead. And they sing about We Are Motorhead. And I did a video for that earlier today, if you want to go back and check it. We Are Motorhead. Excellent album. I like this one too. Not quite as good as some of the other ones, but considering those other ones were up and down, more towards down, I really like this one. Stay Out of Jail is a great song. See Me Burning is good. But We Are Motorhead, yeah, might be my favorite. That's just a fun, you know, fast, classic Motorhead. Very fast and very fun to sing. We Are Motorhead, very good album. Now again, Hammered. This is another one. I really don't know anything about this album. I know Serial Killer. I am the serial killer. And the bonus track, I guess, on the CD only was The Game. And I don't recognize any. Walk a Crooked Mile, maybe I know that. If somebody played it, I might recognize it. These are very classic Motorhead song titles. They, you know, if somebody had read these, if I didn't know this album and somebody read them, I'd say those sound like Motorhead song titles. Walk a Crooked Mile, Down the Line, Brave New World, Voices from the War, Mine All Mine, Shut Your Mouth, Kill the World, Dr. Love, No Remorse, Red Raw, Serial Killer. Should I revisit this one or not? I'm not sure. Not much to say. And it continues with this one, Inferno. This was 2004 maybe. And I think this is considered a really, really good Motorhead album. I think Motorhead fans really, I think a lot of them felt the same way about some of these albums. But I think if I remember correctly, this was considered a real return to form, which maybe makes me think now that Hammered was not so much. In the Name of Tragedy, that was a pretty good. It's not that they're, again, it's not that they're not bad. Maybe I'd been listening to Motorhead for too long, and you know, they lost their impact. But I feel like this is another one that I should, Whorehouse Blues. I feel like this is another one I should dig into more. And yeah, I feel a little bit guilty that I neglected, although I did still buy them. Or did I? The next one, that was the last Motorhead album I bought. That was in 2004. Now, that was also at the time when I kind of stopped buying, I didn't stop buying CDs. I wasn't buying nearly as many. This was kind of in the world of MP3 when it was starting, and also I had moved from Canada to Mexico, and I could only bring so many CDs with me. I brought all my Motorhead CDs with me. They made the trip. And I was trying to cut back on buying CDs, but I think the next one that came out after Inferno was Kiss of Death, which these next few that I'm going to mention, they could all be the same. Kiss of Death was after why can't I think of the name? Inferno. I put the cover upside down, and Kiss of Death was 2006. I remember it was the year that I moved to Mexico. And I think Christine was on that album. That was a pretty good song. And maybe there was one other one. Oh, they also redid the Ramones song that I mentioned earlier. And I like that version even better. I thought the 2006 version was much, much better than the 1990 or 91 version, whatever that was on 1916. They re-recorded it with Mickey D on drums. It was faster, more aggressive, which, as I said, I normally don't like the metal Motorhead, but the Ramones version from, I think it was a bonus track on Kiss of Death in 2006. I love that one. And then after that was Motorizer, which was maybe 2008. I think that had Rock Out. Rock Out was an excellent song. It was kind of in the same vein as Ace of Spades, We Are Motorhead, Iron Fist. It had the bass intro was very fast. Other than that, maybe there was another song on Motorizer. I can't remember. I should go back and I should have a real Motorhead reawakening sometime soon. And then after that was, The World Is Yours. Again, same thing. I don't know what it was. I think maybe I thought that Motorhead were just kind of on the treadmill, kind of making the same album again and again, which I could say for a few other bands, which is not necessarily bad. Could be good or bad. Some people like it, some people don't. The World Is Yours. I know there were a couple of songs on there. I can't remember. Somebody tell me, what were the songs on? Or I can look it up, I guess. The World Is Yours. Can't remember. There were one or two songs there that I really liked. And then Aftershock, maybe that was 2012, something like that. Again, same thing. I liked Going to Mexico. And what was the other song I really liked? Oh, Crying Shame was a good song. So Going to Mexico and Crying Shame. So Aftershock, and I did listen to all these albums. When they came out, I downloaded them illegally. And I did listen to them, but I just didn't buy them. Another thing, it was hard to buy these CDs in Mexico. It's very hard to find some CDs. And when you do, they're very expensive. This is the sign for things being expensive in Mexico. Now, going forward, their last album was Bad Magic. I did buy it, honestly, just because Lemmy had died, and I thought, wow, this is my last chance to buy a Motorhead album. And I bought it after he died. I listened to it when it came out, and it was like the other 3 or 4 or 5 that came before it, 6, I don't know. And but I thought, now this is my last chance to buy a Motorhead album of new songs. So I did buy Bad Magic when Lemmy died in December 2016. I bought it shortly after, maybe a week or a couple of days or something like that. And not bad. Victory, I never understood. The song is called Victory or Die, but it starts with Lemmy saying, Victory or Death! So I'm not sure why the song isn't called Victory or Death, but Victory or Die. What else is on here? Again, very Motorhead sounding titles. Shoot out all of your lights. That totally sounds like Motorhead. I'm sure that he used that lyrics in. He used those lyrics in that line in some lyrics of some other songs. Anyway, so Bad Magic was the last Motorhead album I ever bought. That's the end of my Motorhead album reviews. Yeah, I think I will go back. Maybe this weekend. I think on Sunday I'm gonna go out for a long, long walk. I'm maybe looking at 19. I want to maybe try to break 20 kilometers walking. Maybe I'll take 4 of those albums with me. But anyway, that's Motorhead. Happy. Oh no, I want to show something else. I have something here behind me. This is the end of this view. All right, let me get this. This was a quarantine purchase. I bought an Overkill jigsaw puzzle about 2 weeks ago, and you can see I've started it, and then I kind of forgot about it. I will get it done one day. They had the place where I bought this puzzle. They had well, I think the company that makes this puzzle, there is Overkill, Bomber, Orgasmatron. Where I bought it, they only had Overkill, which was fine for me because I didn't talk about the covers, but I think Overkill might be my favorite Motorhead album cover. I love that album cover. It's fantastic. And also one of my favorite albums. So, yeah, so Overkill puzzle. All right, that's it. Again, happy Motorhead Day to everybody. Thanks for watching. If you have comments, don't forget to leave them below. And don't forget to ring the bell and like and subscribe and blah, blah, blah. No, but leave a comment. I always love to talk about Motorhead or any music in general, but especially Motorhead. Very, very special band for me. And tell me what you think about Motorhead. See ya.